Now, this is exciting as we get multiple updates around the Detroit Pistons, including an update on Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren adding more accolades to his young career, and a look at this Pistons team as they continue to push through, holding the top of the Eastern Conference, and exactly why the rest of the league is absolutely terrified of not only the news we get today, but the play of the Detroit Pistons moving forward. We're going to break down all this and so much more. But before we get into it, I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone watching. If you haven't hit the sub button yet, make sure to go down and hit it, and I'll keep you up to date on everything to do around the team. Now, the big thing with the Detroit Pistons, we know lengthy suspension for Isaiah Stewart over the past couple of games after the altercation with the Hornets. But when looking at the Pistons and Isaiah Stewart out of the lineup, the Pistons went 6-1 during the span. That could mean Detroit, you couldn't ask for more. This is a team that continues to battle through everything. If you're missing a guy in the lineup, you have the next man up mentality. We've seen this with B-Ball Paul himself, but now we get the awesome update coming through that with the game they're going into, Isaiah Stewart, who has completed his 7-game suspension, will be available. Well, now looking at this, of course, Donovan Mitchell will be out. James Harden isn't on the injury report, but this is a huge step for the Detroit Pistons, getting their premier big man back into this lineup. And looking at the numbers, I mean, Isaiah Stewart, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, but it doesn't tell the full story on exactly what he has added to this roster. I mean, looking at the shooting percentage, the 3 could be a little higher, but this entire Pistons team could have better shooting coming through. 1.7 blocks in 23 minutes is insane numbers. And when diving into Stu, what he has brought to the table is completely game changing on this team. The defensive rating at 70%, 30th percentile, of course. Diving farther in, the offensive rebounding is insane for 6'8 big. This is a guy that continues adding on both ends of the floor, and the exact reason why Isaiah Stewart came out himself and said, I'm the best defender in the NBA. And just 2 months ago, he did win Defensive Player of the Month. We've seen it followed up with Ausar Thompson stepping in. Maybe this Pistons team, the defense on its own, of course, the shooting has struggled throughout this season, but Isaiah Stewart rejoining this team is going to be huge for not only J.B. Bickerstaff getting him back into the lineup and having that solidified backup big, and debatably, and in my opinion, the best backup big across the entire NBA. But the big thing with Stu as well is adding that rim protection threat, this guy that can attack the rim as well at 76.5% and can space at an all right rate. I mean, looking at 6 feet defense and 10 feet out in the elite percentile at the rim, shooting at an incredible pace once again in the elite, mid-range elite as well. Everything else fluctuates between average and below average, but Isaiah Stewart's biggest add to this team is, of course, the athleticism. We've seen Kenny Smith come out, the Jet himself, and speak on this just a couple of days ago. The front court has such an athletic advantage. I think that's primed to win them the East this year, and that's not even diving in to, of course, B-Ball Paul, who has been outstanding. He stepped up huge when not only was Jalen Duren out of the lineup, but Isaiah Stewart coming in as pretty much the only NBA experienced big man to join this roster. But I do want to pivot a bit to what we've seen out of Jalen Duren and his fact that he just came off a Player of the Week in Week 19 along with Anthony Edwards in the Western Conference. But Jalen Duren's emergence as a legitimate star in this league has been phenomenal. I mean, looking at the numbers over the week as well, Jalen Duren putting up 26, 14, and 1.5 basically blocks in 3-1 record during the span. Jalen Duren has been huge. We've seen it versus the last game in the Cavs. When he did step up, Cade Cunningham fouled out, and Jalen Duren was a huge part of that push to not only get him into, of course, overtime Jenkins with that hilarious 3 shots at the end of the game from the half-court heave, but Jalen Duren stepped up huge, and what he's been doing this season for this team has really taken him to that next level. Looking at Jalen Duren's numbers, 18.5 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, but it doesn't, once again, tell the full story. One of the best, if not the best rebounder across the NBA. Of course, you have a lot of other guys, but once again, a 6'10 center that's stepping up. The offensive rating, 92nd percentile, 82nd. In defensive rating, his usage almost at 80%. Effective field goal, true shooting. This guy has been a wonder on both ends of the court, and he's going to continue making this team better time after time. Looking at the percentiles, rebound, ranked 11th across the entire NBA. The shooting, once again, the blocks in the 89th percentile, but again, Jalen Duren can continue to build this game going into a contract, of course. 49 games played over the season, but Jalen Duren can continue to develop. Of course, if he works on his mid-range shot, this is a guy that, of course, if he doesn't get his three, that's fine. We know how good he is getting to the rim and scoring at the rim. I mean, we've seen him attack Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen. These guys couldn't hold him. Looking in the paint, elite percentile once again for Jalen Duren, but looking at the 5 to 9 feet out in the elite percentile, 15 to 19 elite, and 20 to 24 elite as well in the distance efficiency. This is a guy that's going to continue building, as I said, time after time. The reason why he's out winning players of the week, but it even gets better when looking at this. A lot of people, Pistons fans won't say this, but a lot of people might look and say, hey, this is only a week. He played good. That's cool. But looking at Jalen Duren, over the month of February, 21, 11, 1 steal, 63.5 field goal percentage, 76.9 from free throw. This is a guy that's out setting records that we haven't seen. The game versus the Cavs, of course. Him and Bob McAdoo have something in common, as he was the first Pistons player since Bob McAdoo in 1980 to total 4 straight 25 and 10 plus games. Now, with them building off and coming through, Jalen Duren is a guy that's got a legitimate chance to win an MIP. Looking at this, Jalen Johnson, Jamal Murray, Jalen Duren are all going to be battling. Of course, a lot of these guys have different accolades, but the big thing with Jalen Duren right now is the numbers continue to get better. Yes, there's guys having good seasons, but this is a guy that's contributing to not only a team that once again is top of the East, but top of the entire NBA. And Jalen Duren has been a huge staple on exactly why this Pistons team has such a lead over a lot of the games. You can see the Boston Celtics 5 games behind, the New York Knicks 7 games behind, the Cavs 8.5, 10.5 for the Raptors. And if you're pushing down to the play-in, that's 15 and 16 games on hand on these teams. This team is going to continue pushing through game after game. They're going to look to not only hold the top of the East, but they want to hold the top of the NBA, which they currently have over OKC, of course, coming off the reigning champions. This is a team that, of course, has a lot to work on. Three-point shooting has been the biggest question around this team. Of course, Kevin Huerter hopefully gets that back at some point. A lot of these guys stepping up. When looking at the numbers, this is a team that's ranked 10 in points per game, 7th in rebounds per game. Assists per game has dropped a tiny bit. Steals per game, rank 1. Blocks per game, rank 1. Rank 6 in field goal percentage. This is a team that feels like they're ranked top 10 in almost every single statistical category, minus 3-point shooting, ranked 27th, but let's avoid that for the time. They're winning games, and that's where it gets interesting when J.B. Bickerstaff is looking at a team that, of course, is going to go into the playoffs. They want to make the run. If multiple of these guys step up and start hitting their threes at a high rate, Duncan Robinson has been doing this. Tobias Harris can improve a tiny bit. Caris LeVert is Caris LeVert, but Kevin Huerter, these guys, if they take that next step, and this is a team that gets hot going into a 7-game series, if they get hot during the playoff run, I don't think there's a team in the NBA that can stop them. Of course, the Spurs have Wemby sitting in the paint, but if you have guys hitting, we've seen quotes coming from Bickerstaff himself. Ron Holland's best shot is when he's open. Ausar Thompson, the same thing. These are guys that if they get hot, I don't know if they can physically be stopped, and that's what we love to hear with the team that, of course, is going to continue powering through this schedule right now, going into the game versus the Cavs, of course, where they're missing some key guys, but at the end of the day, this is a Pistons team that is not only getting healthy, getting a player back from the suspension, of course, as we see in Isaiah Stewart did miss some time, but this is a team that's going to push into the schedule with a couple of easy games coming up. I shouldn't say easy. They lost to the Wizards in their last matchup. But fans, what is your thoughts on this Pistons team? If they get players consistently hitting their threes going into the playoffs, is this a team that genuinely feels like they can't be stopped? They're winning at this right now with Cade Cunningham scoring almost 30 a game, it feels like at this point. They have Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart returning. A lot of shooters that need to get their touch back. This is the team that's poised to go on a bit, and these games add up as they look to conquer the Eastern Conference. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments because I love reading through them. I've been your host, Smart Pie. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and go Detroit basketball.